Good morning, Retro. Man, I hope everything works out well with you here at your doctor's appointment today. Uh, A1Cs. Hey, Tyre, good morning to you. Hope everything's going well with you. It's Monday morning, a balmy 50 degrees outside right now. I'm loving it. Got windows open, nice little breeze blowing through the house. Got the puppy laying next to me underneath his blanket. My sister bought him. I tell you what, I did not realize how much this dog loves being underneath a blanket until my sister got him this lightweight blanket with dog paw prints on it for a Christmas present. And when he curls up on the couch, and he will actually curl underneath that blanket. He will work his way underneath it. So, but then we have had him. My oldest picture I've got of him is from 2012. So we've had him at least 12 years now. Little Jack Russell Terrier. And let's see here. I never thought to look this up. How long lifespan of Jack Russell? 12 and 16 years. The average life expectancy for Jack Russell is 12 to 16. However, some have claimed their dogs lived up to 21. Well, he definitely gets the proper care and love, so we almost spend more on him than we do on our own health. He's an expensive little puppy, but we love him. Okay, let's see. First day back to work from your vacation, but you only have to work 2 days. And then you're off again for three, or yeah, off for three, and then back to work on Saturday. Sounds like, yeah, our cat's got uh, uh, fantastic health insurance. Wife's got health insurance on both of these animals. Um, Before I get into this other stuff, I just happen to thank you. I I got a recommendation from a semi-professional chef. Okay, we were talking about making pizzas, and this guy, he's got the whole works in his house or at his house for cooking just about anything, including the oven, the brick oven with the room for the wood, and he's got this wood there that he's got set up specifically for his oven. And he makes up his pizzas and he throws it in there, and it's done in 6 minutes or less. And I was just sitting there saying, man, that must be nice. My ovens barely make it to 400 degrees, and he's cooking at 700 and 800 degrees in his ovens. And I mean, the pizzas when they're cooked like that, or an open faced sandwich, are just they taste so much better. They really do. The crust at that temperature takes on a whole new dimension and flavor and texture and everything. So he talked me into spending $100 and some dollars. I think it was $116 with shipping on a granite stone Paisano. And it only makes up to a 10 to 12-inch pizza. So you can't make a really big pizza, but being just the wife and I, uh, now that's like a medium size Domino's pizza. And for the two of us, that pretty much will work. Get a salad to go with it and such. If you make a proper meal of it, just not the pizza by its lonesome. And it will do frozen pizzas. And that's especially nice since the wife prefers a cardboard thin crust, and I like a little bit more of a healthier crust. Now, Retro, it's actually an electric oven. Piezano. Here we go. Let me get an image of it up here. Come on, come on. There we go. And let me share this image. There you go. That is the one I got. Okay. And it's got two heating elements. You got one above and they have one underneath. And you can actually rotate your pizza about 45 degrees on the inside. Yeah, it's got a stone inside of it. You turn it on. It takes about a half hour for it to get up to temperature. And so, of course, it's heating the stone up. And if you do get one of these, make sure you read the instructions because you do not wash the stone when you first get it. You plug it in, you turn it on to 800 degrees upper and lower. You got two temperature controls, one for the upper element, one for the lower element. They both go up to 800 degrees. You turn it on to 800 and let it set for about 50, once it gets up to 800 degrees, let it set for about 15 minutes. And then it's ready to use. Which is the same thing you would do if you're going to go make your pizza. You plug it in and let it get up to 800 degrees, set for about 15 minutes. Once it gets to your desired temperature, excuse me, and your pie really comes out of there. And the nice thing about it is you can set the upper temperature to separate from the lower temperature. And I was amazed how well it works. I really was. Now you can't do a deep dish pie in it because it's not that tall. You can't do a deep dish in it, but you can do a standard size pizza in it. You can buy frozen pizza. Make sure it's completely thawed before you put it in there. At least that's what they tell you to do in the instructions, and that's what I did. Was a frozen, bought a frozen pizza. Bought two of them actually. Once you open this lid, Make sure your pizza is ready to go on there before you open the lid, because it obviously, with that much open space in there, it loses the heat quickly. So you want to open it, put your pizza in, close it as quickly as you can. Now you do have to rotate your pizza 180 degrees. Uh, so it's got a two-part um, pizza peel, so you can rotate your pizza. You could do a rotation of the stone itself with these handles about 45 degrees, but you need to rotate at 90. So, uh, but it does it very quickly. You can, from the time you put your pizza in to the time it's done, 6, 7 minutes. And it is cooked top and bottom. I'm going to do some open face sandwiches tonight on it, and I'll see how that turns out. At least I'm planning on doing open face sandwiches tonight. So, and for 100, I mean, is it as good as that brick oven? No, because you're not going to get that woody taste that you get from a brick oven that you're burning wood in. You're not going to get that smoky, woody flavor. But are you going to get that nice, crisp, bubbly pizza? Heck yes, especially if you're like me and your ovens only go to 400 degrees. You don't have an 800-degree oven. So I've done 3 pizzas in it so far. I love it. There's no maintenance to the stone itself. Do get some, it does recommend that you use some flour to keep the pizza from sticking to the stone, not to use any oils, but to use put some flour on it and then your pizza, which makes sense. But yeah, it's good. It even comes that cutter there. Eh, I've it's not bad. The metal scraper here. I mean, I've got better ones already, so it's not the best quality one. The peel is nice. I like the peel. The peel is very nice. But the metal scraper there, it's mediocre at best. But this is nice. The power cord is very short. All right, we'll stop talking about the pizza. But yeah, I mean, for okay, just for $100, I would say go ahead and buy one. You know, I like I said, mine when I ordered it, it come out to like $116, tax tag, title, delivered to the front door. So I didn't eat breakfast today, Ty. The wife didn't want breakfast, and I didn't feel like cooking for one person, so I will fire me up a lunch though. I've got some corned beef in the fridge. I'll probably make me up a nice corned beef sandwich. So now, anyway, Biden, our boy Biden, he is catching a serious amount of flack for his State of the Union speech and one particular incident. This will be about the only thing I comment on when it comes to his State of the Union speech. I really don't plan on spending a lot of time with it. Now, first of all right, the Democratic women show up and they're all wearing white and anti-abortion pills, or pro-abortion pins. Okay. Whatever makes them happy. You should not be allowed to wear a hat like this at the State of the Union speech. Okay? No, that's just not right. And my opinion is just not right to go dressed to the State of the Union speech wearing a hat like that, wearing huge ass buttons that, all right, show a little respect, show a little decorum, whether that president is of your party or not. Then still show respect for the office and that what the gentleman is there to do, what the person is there, gentleman, gentle lady, whatever. Oh, that's all the State of the Union speeches have turned into retro now, is our campaign speeches. They're no longer what was intended. They hadn't been that way for 50, 60 years, if not longer. They've turned into campaign speeches. Another thing that goes on at the State of the Union speeches I strongly disagree with is what's led up to this whole thing. So let me play this. Oops.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But
all right, I'm going to stop right here. He accidentally said the truth. He let the truth out. That because of their border patrol, their border guidelines, their laws, what they're doing, an illegal can cross that border and be here for 8 years before they get a hearing. He spoke the truth. He accidentally spoke the truth. And it's his fault that this is going on. It's his fault. As president of the United States, he could have continued the Trump policies and built upon those policies to put tighter controls at our borders, to stop the illegal immigration. He could have beefed up. It's something that Trump didn't do enough of. Beefed up the actions to get for people who have overstayed their visas. We have the laws on the books now. We don't need more laws. We don't need to change anything. We need to enforce the laws we have on the books now to stop the invasion at our borders. So he spoke the truth. It was an illegal who killed that woman. There's no two ways about it. But then after his speech, after it was over and done with, well, this happened.
You use the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
First of all, okay, I had to stop it here. I love this allegedly killed. He killed her, plain and simple. There's no allegedly to it. I know they have to say that because of the innocent until proven guilty. But there are some cases where it's like, okay, yeah, we have to go through the formality of the courts, of the court process. But there should be no doubt in anybody's mind that this SOB murdered that woman. So let me back this up here a couple of seconds.
When talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things that
softening the language. The softening of the language. He wasn't illegal. He was just undocumented. I remember when that nonsense first started coming out 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The changing of the language from being illegal to undocumented. Yeah, we don't want to hurt their feelings. Nobody is illegal. They're just undocumented. No, they're here illegally. Therefore, they are an illegal person. Send them back to their country where they can be a legal person again. Hey, morning, Sean. Yeah, I know that's undocumented citizen will be next. Well, they're a citizen somewhere. They may not be a citizen here, but they're a citizen somewhere. So they're an undocumented citizen. Oh, and I cannot understand why. And this is something else that gets me. I cannot understand why we have such an issue with on the census. If you want to count every person that's in the country, fine. But there should be 3 categories on that census. You are a United States citizen, either naturalized or natural born. You were either born a citizen or you became a naturalized citizen. You went through the process. Category 1. And that should be the largest category. That should be 95% at minimum. of the population. Then you have a legal immigrant, a resident immigrant. You're not a citizen yet. Either you don't want to become a citizen or you haven't completed the process. And if you are living in this country and you refuse to become a citizen, you should not be allowed to be here more than 5 years. End the conversation. If you want to live in this country and not become a citizen of this country, you should only be allowed to be here for 5 years. And then you have to go back to the country that you're a citizen of. Why do we allow non-citizens to live their lives here? Evidently, they want the benefits of living here, but they don't want to become a citizen of living here, a citizen of this country. Oh yeah, Sean, that's not a bad idea either. I mean, the left loves these chips. Put the damn chips in. There you go. Put a chip in them where they can be tracked. And the third category is an illegal citizen, and that number should be so damn small. A legal resident. Why did I say citizen? And illegal. You're here illegally. And that number should be so damn small that it should be negligible. Because once that person has been identified as being here illegally, they're out of the country. They're picked up and deported. Now, for these people who are here on refugee status because of their home country is war-torn, really? Go home. Send them home. Your refugee status is ended. Most of these countries that they have refugee status from, there hasn't been a war in them in 20 years. Send them home. Yeah, I know, Retro. Yeah, that was a big error on my part. And I'm pretty red-faced about it right now. Sean, Omar's she came in here as a child. Now, Omar should be stripped of her citizenship. Let me see if I can find that video. Omar speech. Okay, Omar Somalia speech. Here we go. Let's see if that. All right. Oh, we got fact checked on it. So let's see what this fact check has to say. They're saying there's a flawed translation here. Oh, come on, shut off the ad. Okay, the Star Tribune. All right. Okay. Here, I found Omar's speech. Let me finish up here what I want to say here about Biden. But yeah, we will. We'll get here with Omar. This here's why I love having you guys in there, because you take me from one thing to another. This train has no tracks. It's like that. What was it, Polar Express, when the train got on the ice and it was just all over the place? That's me. It's on the tracks at the very beginning, and then it's all back on the tracks at the very end, and in the middle, it's all over the place. So that describes me. But anyway, this whole idea of substituting words, softening the language so we don't hurt their feelings. Well, I'm sorry, you're here illegally. I don't care about softening, about hurting your feelings. The fact is you entered this country illegally and you should be deported immediately. You came across the Mexican border, fine. Then we'll send you back to the Mexican border. But Mexico won't take them. Mexico took them when they came to the country through their country to get to our borders. To me, that's all that matters. Mexico let them into their country, let them travel through their country, and let them cross our borders illegally. Let them leave their country to cross to enter our country. Now you're send them back to that Mexican border and let them be Mexicans' problem, not ours. We don't want you. You're not ours. And if you can't, what happens once you leave our territory? We don't care no more. I'm going to give you a bologna sandwich and a bottle of water. And that's all the help you're going to get out of us. You ain't ours. And call them what they are. You got no problems. The media has no problems. None of them have any problem with labeling everything that they can white supremacy, white privilege, white this, white that, everything they can. They love throwing that label around. Label things that don't, they love, January 6th, they call it the Great Insurrection. They started doing that on January 6th. They knew what they were doing. Because once they got enough people, once they brainwashed enough people in this country to believe, to associate the January 6th with an insurrection, then they knew right then that they were going to be able to use that in attempts to keep Trump from being reelected if he decided to run again. Oh, George Carlin did a lot of half his routines was about language. One of my favorite ones by him is they announced, you may now get on the aircraft. You may now get in on the airplane. No. I'm not going to get on that plane. I'm going to get in that plane. You seem to know what you're doing and you're riding in the plane. So I'm going to be right there with you and get in the plane. Let the people who don't know the difference get on the plane. Yeah, that routine is one of my, by Carlin's, one of my favorites. But control, control the language, you can control the minds. Once you get certain words embedded into the general populace's minds, where it's generally accepted as the truth, as the way you're supposed to talk. Like, you have to call somebody by their preferred pronouns. Why? Why do I have to call somebody by their preferred pronouns? Why do I have to let them control my speech? Why? If they can stand there, that same person can stand there and call me transphobic, call me homophobic, call me a racist, call me anything they want to call me. And you're not saying, and I can't call them by what I want to call them. What is this? A one-way street of privilege? We stopped that nonsense 100 years ago. Preferred doesn't mean mandated. Good point, Sean. But they want to make it mandated. If you don't call me by the words I want to be called, then you're wrong. That's not the way it should be. I don't have to call you anything. But there are certain words that are the perfect descriptors. And calling somebody an illegal because they've entered the country illegally, that's the correct description of that person. Because they earned that description through their own actions. But again, that's just a point I need to, that I believe in. The next, okay, so what's next here? You wanted to talk about Omar and her speech. Okay. Here's an article on it. Let's make sure I got that right. Yep. This is by the Star Tribune. What Representative Ilhan Omar actually said in viral speech. Republican leaders are calling for an investigation over disputed translation of the Congresswoman's comments. Minnesota U.S. Rep. Ilhan Omar's fate and scrutiny and criticism from Republicans based on, what she called a flawed translation of a speech that she made while gathering commemorate recent elections in Somalia. Now, if she is so concerned, if she wants to be so concerned about what's happening in Somalia, she should go back to Somalia to take care of it, especially since she's calling it her homeland. Republicans have criticized an alleged translation of speech to a room full of Somali supporters in Minneapolis, with Emmer calling it anti-American in a post on X. Omar said the translation accompanying the video of the speech that went viral on social media was slanted and completely off. The speech was held at an event at the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Minneapolis on January 27th to celebrate the recent elections. Okay, so what did she say? Okay, in the wake of a port deal between the northern region of Somalia and Ethiopia, Omar said in the speech that she fielded calls from concerned people who want the United States to intervene in hopes of nullifying the 50-year agreement. First of all, it's none of the United States' business. This is between two recognized countries, Somalia and Ethiopia. It's none of our business what they do between the two of them. It's not our job to go in there to tell Ethiopia and Somalia about their dealings with each other. Are either one of these countries enemies of our country? Are we in combat with either one of them? No. So it's none of our business. Stay out of it. A Star Tribune reporter who speaks Somali listened to the speech and reviewed the transcript and found it matched Omar's actual comments. My answer was U.S. government will do what we tell the U.S. government to do. Remember, she's talking to a group of Somalis, not U.S., not Americans, but people who identify as Somalis. We as Somalis, I'm sorry, Omar, but you're supposed to be an American. Should have the confidence in ourselves. We live in this country, yes. We pay taxes in this country. It's the country where one of our own sits, one of your own sits in Congress. You're saying we are Somalis. So we should not be having a Somalian representative in the Congress. That's not what the job description is. You're not there to represent Somalia. You're there to represent Americans. All right? There is a difference there. All right? You're not there to represent Somalis. All right. Okay, I've got a problem here real quick. Let me try to resolve this. No, come on, computer, do your thing. Do your thing, all right? No, 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 no. That's not what I want. Where is it? I'm sorry, guys. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Okay, here we go. And, all right, finally, I've got it fixed. Sorry. All right. As long as I'm in Congress, no one will take Somali seas. Excuse me, Omar, but I was not aware that we had a defensive pact with Somalia. We may have a defensive pact with Somalia. And the United States will not support other people to rob us. Rest is okay. So here she is. She's talking about Somalia. Everything she's concerned about here is Somalia. Then all of a sudden, rest assured, Minnesotans, the woman you sent to Congress is aware and has the same interests of you. The translation under dispute characterized Omar's comments saying this: the U.S. Congress will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders and how we safeguard the interests of Somalia. Together, we will protect the interests of Somalia. Well, that's what she's saying. That's what she is saying up here. I mean, it's known that Omar doesn't care about what goes about U.S. interest. Yeah, Sean, there's that too. Um, that word is out there, but you know, it's too late at this point. It's too late. I think it's too late now. That ship has sailed. All right, that ship has sailed. Now, maybe if she was a Republican and not a Democrat and not a member of the squad, that ship would still be out there. I mean, but we know that Congress treats the two parties totally different. All right. They kicked Santos out of the Congress before he's convicted of any crimes. All right. But we've got Mendez there who has been accused of much more serious crimes than Santos. And he's still a voting member. That is absolutely the difference. All right. The Democrats pushed as hard as they could to kick Santos out, mostly because they also knew that they'd get a Democrat to replace him. And that would swing the balance a little bit more in their favor. Yeah, there was Retro. You're right about that. The whole she married her brother to get him a U.S. citizenship illegally. There's that issue, but again, she's a Democrat. She's a woman. She's a person of color. Therefore, she's untouchable. All right, because anything anyone does against her is strictly because, well, she's a person of color. You're a racist. Or she's a woman. You're a sexist. You're a racist sexist. Or is it a sexist racist? Which is worse? Because the worst label would be thrown first, I guess. Or would that be the last, you'd lead up to the worst label? You're a misogynist, sexist, racist. Yeah, that's probably the way it would go. Let's see here. I think I need to. Yep. I got to get away from the computer here for a second, but I can still talk because I'm only going to walk a few feet. Make a little bit of noise because it's a syringe change. Of course, it's a Monday. I'm doing my infusion as I'm talking to you guys. And got to change out syringes. I've got, let's see, I've got 2 more left to do now. Hooking up my next to the last one. Yay. I started everything really early today, hoping to get it done because I've got things I have got to do today. Got to figure out why my garage door isn't closing all the way. My son's coming over to put in to pick up some boxes that he wants because my infusion stuff comes delivered in styrofoam boxes, big styrofoam boxes with ice packs. Well, I've got several years worth of ice packs and styrofoam boxes that I give this stuff away because I only need so many, and those ice packs are not cheap. So I try to give them away to people that want them. I've probably given away 200 200 of these blue ice packs. But I'm running out of people to give them to. Now, I've got about 30 of them in my own freezer that I keep for. They're my part of my hurricane prep. They're part of my hurricane prep kit. Keep them like that so that if another hurricane comes through and I can keep them in my freezer and help keep my freezer cold for the 12 hours a day, it will not be on my generator. Okay, my last syringe is now full. I can get back over to the computer. I appreciate you guys hanging around while I do that. Oh, he must have got warm because he uncovered himself. Ever see a dog cover himself up and uncover himself? Mine does that all the time. Yeah, Tyler, you're right about that. It's at the point now with the name calling that I don't even. I, it just it doesn't even faze me anymore. I do love to point out the hypocrisy of the moderators on especially X, formerly known as Twitter, where they allow, it's YT for white people, but how dare you shorten, I'm an African American. Make sure you put you don't put AA down, because or you don't put BK for black or BLK for black. No, how dare you shorten that? Or they the videos where they sit there and what names do you have for white people? Snow coons, popcorn people, snow leopards. They come up with all really weird. I mean, they all evolve, of course, around A lot of them revolve around the snow because snow is white and cold and melts under their heat that they give us. Yeah, it's. I did see, and oh, what was I did post about this. Let me see if I can find it because I was really excited to see this happen. Uh, where in the devil did I put it? Oh, while I'm looking for that, let's take a look at this. I did not know that. Oh, come on. Come on. I'm trying to figure out why this isn't working. Man, I hate this. Did this get taken down? Did this video get taken down? I don't know. It it looks like the video got taken down. There was a video this woman that they made showed where Biden in his speech said the same thing over and over and over again in nearly every speech he's given. And the audio is working, but the video is not. This is wild. Oh my God, what the devil? Okay, I will have to find that later. Um, okay, here's the story. Here's the story I was wanting to that. And MSN took that story down. Son of a gun. You have got to. What is going on with these people removing stories? This is wild. Uh, well, son of a gun. Uh, a small minority-owned business agencies was found to have been discriminating against white people. This is a uh, government agency that was explicitly refusing to give service to white people, white business owners or potential business owners, that it was providing to black and Hispanic business owners. And it was strictly because they were white. Well, a group of, and unfortunately, I can't find the story now, but the a a group of white uh, people who had been denied service decided to sue, and a judge told them that they, found in their favor. Uh, and ordered the agency to start providing the oh yeah, Chris Wallace. Yeah, that was not a good. Okay, judge finds agency discriminate against white. Let's see if that does. Okay, let's see if this story works. All right, here we go. I found it. Found another. Found the article on another website. Now I don't know how long this story is going to last. How long this ruling is going to last? Texas judge rules a minority business agency must serve white founders too. Decision is a huge blow to a federal agency created to reverse discrimination faced by minority small businesses. A Texas federal judge on Tuesday, this was Tuesday of last week, ruled the Department of Commerce's Minority Business Development Agency must serve those of all races. He found an agency whose mission is to serve minorities discriminated against white entrepreneurs. U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman, in a 93-page decision, sided with two of the three white founders who sued the MBDA, an agency originally focused on reversing discrimination faced by minority business owners. These agencies, at one time, did the government need to do things specifically to help minority business owners, people who wanted to go into business, who, you know, 100 years ago, this agency would have been needed and would have been a good thing 100 years ago. 50 years ago, they should have started phasing them out. 25 years ago, they should have been gone. And today, it should be something that we'd be reading about in the history books, that this was done to help people who had been discriminated against, but to help them as a whole. But it was no longer needed. Now, because these businesses, if the minority-owned businesses or woman-owned businesses, they get a leg up when it comes to governmental contracts. So a lot of business owners, and I know business owners who've done this, they list their wives as being the business owner. The man runs the business. The husband runs the business. But the wife is on the books as being the business owner. Why? Because it gets them contracts. Because it gets them contracts. All right, how did this happen? Okay. All right. The judge found that the 55-year-old agency violated the Fifth Amendment's Equal Protection Clause when it determined it could not help the three founders because they were not from a disadvantaged minority groups. Assuming that the white founders, based on race alone, were not disadvantaged, violated that provision, the judge said. While the agency's work may help alleviate opportunity gaps faced by minority business enterprises, two wrongs do not make a right, and the MBDA's racial presumption is a wrong. Today, the clock runs out. Let's see here. Entrepreneurs Jeffrey Newsard, Matthew Piper, and Christian Buckner, white men who sued the agency in 2023, arguing that they were discriminated against because it only set aside for minority-owned businesses. The trio said that they were interested in tapping into the services, but purportedly could not do so because of their race. The MBDA sought to level the playing field for minority-owned companies by providing technical assistance and helping companies raise capital. It was created in 1969 and now permanent status in 2021 thanks to President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill. Yeah, that infrastructure bill that got put, another one of those. We'll tell you what's in it once we vote on it. The government argued the business owners could not sue because they were never eligible in the first place because of their race. So it was a strictly race-based. Now, using their own thing, their own liberal logic against them. One of the guys could be gay, non-binary, asexual. He could be a furry. He could be, somebody that thinks they're an antelope or an alligator or a cat or a dog. This could be one of, the guys could be any one of those, 79 different genders, any one of the three, and that'd put them into that group. But no, this was strictly based upon the color of their skin, the melanonin content. And what's even funnier, what if this is one of these guys whose family's actually black, but they've got that disease that turns their skin white? They're an albino, or partially albino, where their skin is white, but their eyes aren't blue or whatever. Anyway, the judge compared the government's arguments to the challenges faced by Irish immigrants looking for jobs no Irish need apply, and Black Americans looking for work during the Jim Crow era. The second argument is tantamount to a factory owned in the Jim Crow South, saying a black woman lacked standing because she couldn't formally apply. It would defy logic to require a formal application when a no black sign hangs predominantly over the door. Plaintiffs have standing to challenge that sign. The small business advocacy group Cameo said on Wednesday that it's no coincidence that racist activists. Who is the racist here? Somebody's going to get a service by a governmental agency and they're denied because they're race. So who's actually being the racist here? Racist activists have focused their sights on closing this door to prosperity for entrepreneurs of color. Now if you were a government agency, cannot discriminate, should not be allowed to discriminate. Based upon race. Should not be able to discriminate based upon gender or sex. I use those terms interchangeably. Except I'm not looking to get gendered, I'm looking to have sex. But that's about the only time the two words mean something different. In a statement, Cameo CEO Carolina Martinez, this lawsuit is part of a concerted effort by anti-diversity, damn right anti-diversity, activists to wage a war of poverty. No, it's not to wage a war of poverty. We're not trying to hold anybody down. This government agency is refusing help, like the help based upon somebody's race. Against black and brown business owners by thwarting access to the American dream of self-reliance and business owners. Now, how is this stopping if by telling them that no, you cannot discriminate against white people, how is that hurting black and brown people? By saying that you have to give the same service to white people that you give to black people. How is that discriminating against black people? How is that hurting black and brown people? It doesn't make good sense. These people act like the pie is only 6 inches across. And by giving an equal piece of that pie to a white person, you're taking it away from a black person or a brown person. Governmental aid and businesses like this is not a 6-inch pie. Yeah, thank you, Ty. I could not remember that name. Viliago. All right. Sean, I agree with you. We've got these bills like that infrastructure bill. All right, this racist program has nothing to do with infrastructure. But it's one of those things that they throw into a bill. It's like they'll throw crap into a bill supposedly to help veterans, and if you vote against it because of these poison pills, well, you hate veterans. You, as a Republican, Democrats are great for this. As a Republican, you should be out there supporting veterans. You must hate veterans since you're voting against this bill. No, we're not voting against the veteran portion of the bill. We're voting against this racist crap you threw in it. But Democrats are infamous for this crap. Now, I fully expect this to get up to the Supreme Court. I'm surprised it has. I'm surprised we haven't already heard about it being some judge in the Fifth Circuit over, 3-judge panel overriding this judge. I'm surprised that didn't happen the same day. So I fully expect this to be up in the Supreme Court next year or the year after. But of course, this initial ruling will get quashed by the Fifth Circuit, and they'll go back to being a group of racists for the next year or so until it gets up to the Supreme Court. And then another year from the time that they hear the case to the time the decision's finally reached. So in that time period, yeah, Sean, I got no problem with that either. Make all bills single issue, single topics with no add-ons. But you see, that would force our Congress critters to actually sit in and do their jobs and vote instead of having to only vote every couple days. They'd actually have to vote on individual bills. And that would give the president too much of an option to veto crap that should be vetoed. So, all right, let me stop sharing this screen because there's no need. I beat that horse to death. Yeah, I've got no problem with making this stuff single issue. I really don't. But it's funny how MSN eliminated that or changed the link to that story from what there originally was. Chuck Schumer spending $180 million for Syracuse. Good God. What is this story I just got thrown at? Where is Middlebury at? Where is Middlebury College at? Is that here in the United States or is that in England? It sounds like it's here in the States. Let me see where this. Can somebody look up for me and tell me where the Middlebury College is located? If that's in the States or if it's here or if it's in England? Because it sounds like it's in the state. Or I mean, it sounds like it may be here in the States. Interesting. Middlebury students try to host a vigil for the victims of October 7th attack. Administrators told them to remove the word Jewish. The Department of Education is now investigating Middlebury over anti-Semitism. October 10th, 3 days after Hamas had murdered 1,200 Israelis and abducted hundreds more, Jewish students at Middlebury College were trying to organize a vigil for the victims. They reached out to Middlebury's Dean of Students, Derek Doucette, with the draft poster promoting the event where they invited administrators of the elite liberal arts school to attend. Stand in solidarity with Jewish people, the poster read. There will be an opportunity to honor the innocent lives lost in the tragic events that struck Israel in the past days. In an email to the students reviewed by the Washington Free Beacon, Doucette, who has oversight of student activities, pushed to rename the vigil and strip it of references to Judaism to make it inclusive. Why would you want to make it inclusive? This was about the events that happened on October 7th. It involved two groups of people, Hamas Palestinians who invaded Israel, murdered Israeli citizens, mostly Jewish people, raped Jewish citizens, Israeli citizens, mostly Jewish women, kidnapped Israeli citizens, mostly Jewish people. Why and what in your cotton picking mind would make you think you needed to make this inclusive? Vermont, okay. Vermont, it makes sense. Okay, this something this stupid coming out of Vermont does not surprise me. Some suggestions might help her stating this gatherings to honor all innocent lives lost, including the reference to tragedies that have struck Israel and Gaza. He added that calls for solidarity Jews might trigger unhelpful reactions. I recognize and deeply respect that there has to be a place for purely Jewish grief and sorrow. And yet I wonder if such a public gathering and such a charged moment might be more inclusive with edits such as these. The need for, I love this part. The need to include all groups in visual mourning losses was selective and short lived. Less than a month later, the Ducit's office approved a vigil for Palestine hosted by Muslim Students Association that began with an Islamic prayer and featured remarks from the school's vice president of equity and inclusion, Karoum Hassan, who did not attend the Jewish vigil. Oh, color me shocked, the pure hypocrisy going on at a college. Color me shocked that this happened. Standing in solidarity, the Muslim student group wrote an Instagram post promoting the event. Together we honor Palestine. The divergent reaction to the two events is one of the most shocking examples of discrimination outlined in a federal civil rights complaint against Middlebury, one of the top liberal arts colleges in the country, filed last month by the Pros Israel nonprofit Stand With Us, which has sued other elite schools over anti-Semitism. The complaint alleges Middlebury created a hostile environment for Jewish students by ignoring and at times impeding their efforts to combat campus anti-Semitism. The Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights told Stand With Us that it opened an investigation. Will review the allegations and if it finds discrimination had occurred, provide a list of remedial actions for Middlebury to take. Such probes can range from a few months to several years, depending on the office's caseload. You know this is going to get pushed to the very back. And anytime for the next year that anybody questions, well, it's an open investigation. We can't comment on it. They're not going to do anything about this, not for at least a year. And by then, nobody's going to care. This is absolutely ridiculous. It really and truly is. How a college can do, and again, discrimination against white people is okay. Discrimination against men is okay. Discrimination against Jews is okay. And who sponsors all this discrimination? It's the left, the modern day liberal, the Democratic Party. I was this morning, there was a YouTube channel I was watching where New York's governor, Hochul, stood there and read the poem at the foot of the Statue of Liberty. You know, give us your poor, your hungry, your people seeking whatever, yada yada yada. I don't have it memorized now. She's quoting that and stating how that was the American philosophy, and how dare anybody, not support taking in as many people into this great country of ours. She's quoting a poem written at the base of a statue and saying that should be the law of the country. That is what the United States needs to live up to. But this same woman will sit there and read the Second Amendment to the Constitution and say, nope, 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 that doesn't mean what it says. That's trash. Get rid of it. That means nothing. Make this make sense to me. How they can take and read something like what's on the base of the Statue of Liberty and demand that everybody in the country live up to it and accept that as law of the land. But a literal part of the Constitution, that was written by the founders and voted on by the states, the Second Amendment. And no, that doesn't mean what it says. That doesn't mean what it says. I was reading or watching another video this morning. A woman was at a protest. She's standing there holding her sign. Now, this is where I think she screwed up, but that's beside the point. Y'all know I carry my firearms with me wherever I go. I've stated many times, 99% of the time, if you see me off my property, I've got a firearm with me. I've got it on my body 99% of the time. Now, if I'm going to the hospital, I don't carry. I've only got one doctor's office I'll carry to, and that's because the doctor is very pro Second Amendment. In fact, he carries while he's at work. He didn't think he could carry under his scrubs. And I showed him some ways that he can carry under his scrubs, and he was surprised to see it. So now he's carrying. And half the women that work for him carry at work. I would feel sorry for anybody trying to break into this doctor's office. And try to do anything wrong. Because I know there's at least 12 people up there who carry firearms under their scrubs. So yeah, they would not last long. Anybody breaking into that particular doctor's office. But that's the only doctor's office I carry into. Because of this. I mean, I've been seeing this doctor for a very, very long time. 7, 8 years now, and we got a great relationship. I literally trust this man with my life. I trust his staff. But I've got other doctors I go see I don't carry. If I were to go to a protest, or I was going to be one of the protesters, I would not carry. That would be another time I would not carry. And that would be for the simple fact that I would not want to be arrested and then have what happened with this woman. She was simply there protesting, carrying a sign. The police came out, started to arrest another protester because he was using a megaphone, and they arrested him for being too loud. And she's, what are you start yelling at him, what are you arresting for? What are you arresting him for? And they arrested her for yelling at him. This is in Massachusetts. By the time she got home that same day, they had already called her hometown, town next to wherever she was protesting at. The next day, she got a phone call from her local police department telling her she had to surrender not only her license, but all of her firearms and all of her ammunition. Anything that is considered a weapon under Massachusetts law, she had to surrender them. When she took them so she went and talked to her lawyer, and they built up, oh crap. Oh, today is the 11th. Damn it. Okay. Yeah, I got time. I just got notification of a doctor's appointment this afternoon. Anyway, they told her, said, yeah, you got to give everything up. All of her firearms, all of her ammunition, everything. The cops went to her house and they walked out with everything. And they told her, said, and she asked me, how is this legal that you can confiscate? I haven't been convicted of anything. I got arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and disturbing the peace. How is it? Both of these are misdemeanors. How is it you can come to my house and confiscate all my firearms and ammunition? I haven't been convicted of any crimes. Under Massachusetts law, if you're even accused of a crime, you're not allowed to own a firearm. And since you have to be licensed to even purchase one or to buy ammunition in Massachusetts, they know you've got it. So they come out, they confiscate it. They know what you have if you bought it through an FFL. They confiscate everything, and they give it back to you after the trial, and if you've been found not guilty. Maybe. Because they may decide to still keep it all and remove your license. Yes, Massachusetts, they do this. That's utterly disgraceful that they can do that to you. All right, Sean, what's this here that you just put up on Twitter? I'm trying to. Oh, yeah. Average deaths in a shooting rampage when stopped by police, 14.3. Average deaths in a shooting rampage when stopped by civilians, 2.3. Save lives, keep civilians armed. Yeah, that's true. That's not what it is the one police department contacted the other police department and said they wanted everything confiscated. So the other police department said, okay, we'll confiscate them and that's the way it works under Massachusetts law. That's absolutely ridiculous. That is that uh, the only way, and again, I'll reiterate this. The only way I believe a person should not have their Second Amendment rights is if they have been convicted of a violent felony involving a firearm. All right. And reason why I say that, if I get convicted for hitting somebody with my fist, that's not a violent felony with the firearm. If I get convicted of bank fraud, that's not a violent felony with the firearm. And I also believe that if you lose, in many states, felons cannot vote if you've been convicted of a felony. Well, if you get your right to vote back, you should get all your rights back. They should not be able to piecemeal pick and choose which rights you get back. If you get your rights back, you get your rights back. End of conversation. If you get your right to vote back, First Amendment rights back, you get your right to vote back, you should be able to get your rights to carry your firearms back. Either you're a citizen with all the rights of being a citizen or you're not. Either you have rights, all your rights, or you don't have any of them. Don't pick and choose. And this nonsense, well, he was convicted of beating up his wife, so we need to take away his right to carry a gun. Domestic violence. Baloney. Again, unless he used that firearm in the commission of the crime, he gets to keep his Second Amendment rights. I know I'm just funny that way. But I also believe if you've ever been convicted of voter fraud, you should never be able to vote again. You permanently lose your right to vote if you've ever been convicted in any way, shape, and or form with voter fraud. You should never have the right to vote again. That's just mine. Let's see here. Again, Sean, I agree with you about felons being able, other than, if you've been convicted of a violent felony with a firearm, or if you've been convicted of a felony involving a firearm, that's the only way you should lose your Second Amendment rights. I also don't believe a felon should automatically get their rights back when they get out of jail, especially the right to vote. I don't necessarily believe they should automatically get their rights back. It should, have they turned their life around. Another video I was watching, a guy was trying to enter Australia. And they asked him, have you ever been convicted of a crime? He said, yes, when I was a juvenile. I was convicted of 7 different crimes as a juvenile. But he listed what they were. And when he got out of juvie in jail. He learned a trade. He got married. He's got children, and he does a fairly dangerous job underwater, part of a diving. He's a professional diver and does ship repairs below the waterline. Fairly dangerous job. He's turned his life around. He's lived 7 years now, free and clear. Australia said, "Nope, sorry, you can't enter our country." And he was going there to work on a ship. He wasn't even going there as a tourist or anything. He was going there to work on a ship. And Australia said, "Nope, nope, nope, nope." And that's fine. Australia had, a country's got the rights to exclude who they want to exclude. That's no problem. You've ever been convicted? Canada. Y'all know that if you've ever been convicted of a DUI here in the United States, you can't enter Canada. Ever been convicted. 25 years could go on by. And you've been sober for 25 years. You've never had another drop of alcohol in 25 years. You still can't enter a country. You're permanently banned from the country. That's one of the things when G.W. Bush was in office as president. The leftists, both here and Canada, said that Bush should never be allowed, even as president of the United States, to enter Canada because he'd been convicted of a DUI when he was a young man. I believe it was when he was in college. The double standards on the left is simply amazing. The double they just. Now, I know there's some double standards over on the conservative side. Okay? I know there's some. I know I've got some double standards. We all do. We all have some things that, got some double standards. But most of us don't try to put our double standards into law. These are personally held double standards. We don't try to turn our double standards, our hypocrisy, into law. But that's the way that goes. Let's see here. And since I did just get reminded about a doctor's appointment, I need to go ahead and end the stream because I got to get ready to leave. I've got a doctor's appointment in 45 minutes. And I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and a pair of running shorts. So I got to go change clothes and get ready for this appointment. So I want y'all to have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you for coming out and listening to me rant this morning. I was a little bit all over the bush, but who really, does anybody of these people have a clue about what's going on? That's the question I ask, Is there a clue about what's going on? Who's got it? Because some of us sure as hell don't. I hope I get this last infusion in me before I have to leave. I'd hate to have to drive down the road with these needles stuck in me. Oh, well. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Be good.